Hi, welcome to Shiloh May. I'm Linda. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to take an ordinary table runner. I got this at Hobby Lobby. I got it on sale after the holiday of 4th of July, and they were marked down to like $2.50 a piece. So as you can see here, it's a striped, kind of a muted red and white, heavy cotton cotton duck material. I've already picked out my other fabrics I'm going to use for this, and I need four different fabrics. I have also applied my heat and bond already to all my fabrics, so make sure you're following the manufacturer's suggested instructions when you're applying that to your fabric. Sorry for the elbow here. But I am pinning my pattern piece, and as you can see, it's a coffee mug for Valentine's. It's got a little heart on it. And you're going to cut it out. And I'm just cutting like a big square at this point. But I've noticed that my coffee cup is not totally covered with heat and bond on the back because I didn't put my heat and bond on all the way up to the edge of the fabric. So right now I'm just sliding it down. And I'm going to repin it. I'm checking all the other sides to make sure that the heat and bond is there. So I'm going to repin it. You can see as I'm doing this that we have the heart in the middle of the cup, which will be a pattern piece. We have the inside of the mug, and then we have the liquid inside the mug. Okay. So now I'm just cutting this out around the outside of the coffee mug, the whole thing. This is a pattern that I made off Canva. Sorry, I made this off Canva. You know what? I don't even know if I made it now. I did it a week or so ago before I went on vacation to the Rose Bowl parade. And I can't remember if I made it or if it was one I got off Canva Pro. But I'm just sitting here finishing cutting this. I sped up a little bit there so you wouldn't have to watch me do it all. Now I need to cut out this handle area. See this white piece here? I need to cut that out. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm not going to cut my pin. And again, if you have a Cricut or a scan and cut or some kind of cutting machine, you can do this all on there. But I just like to show you right now how easy it is really to do by hand. You don't need to have that fancy equipment like I told you in the last video of my appliquing the sweatshirt. And if you haven't watched that, please go watch it. It's on my YouTube channel. So I'm showing you the different pieces that we're going to cut out here in a minute. Now the heart, we're going to start with next. And I'm just going to use the same pattern piece. You could have more than one. You could copy the pattern piece, print it out twice, 2 or 3 times. But I'm just using this one, and it really worked out well, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But I'm cutting out the heart now. And I've picked out some fabric to make all my hearts. So there's this heart, and then there's 3 more that will actually be coming out of the top of the coffee mug. And I use the same fabric for all 4 of them. So here I'm kind of showing you my fabrics I have. Maybe I just have 3, I guess, 3 fabrics. So I'm cutting out my hearts. This is the heart that goes in the center of the coffee mug. And let's see here. I think I'm trying to decide which fabric to use for what when it comes to the middle of the mug, up at the top where the liquid is. So I went ahead and cut this out of my pattern also, these 2 pieces. And I just cut along the edge here. So I'm just cutting out the paper at this point. Cutting all the way around. Now I left this on slow mode just so you could get a good look at what I was doing here. Sometimes, I got to remember to record in horizontally instead of vertically. So if you can't see some of this sometimes very well, it's because I've forgotten to turn my camera the other direction. All right, so I cut those two pieces in half. So this piece here is going to be the inside of the mug. And it would have looked good either way, whether I use this for the liquid in the mug or if I used it for the inside of the mug. But again, I've pinned it and I'm cutting it out. But on the bottom side, you want to add 1/4 inch about extra fabric. And I'm showing you here, I am going to add a little extra because I want these two fabrics to overlap. If you don't overlap them, you got to be really precise about how you cut them. So let's overlap them a little bit. And you'll see what I mean when I go to lay them out here. Okay, there's that piece. No, I'm really being silly here. I was thinking this went all the way to the top. So I'm just showing you, like, sometimes experienced sewers do silly things. And I can't figure out why it's not fitting. And then I realized it doesn't go all the way up to the top of the mug. It goes down a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to cut the other piece out. And this one, you do not need to add any extra fabric. Because we got our 1/4 inch right there. And I'm showing you by laying the pattern on here how that's going to lay over the top of that. Okay, so when you see me laying that pattern piece on there, when you get your fabric cut out, if it doesn't fit exactly when you go to lay it down, turn it over and do it the other direction, because then it's probably going to fit. Because the pattern is not the same arc at the top as it is on the bottom. So cutting that piece out, trying to clean up a little bit of my mess as I go. And then I'm pulling this down so you can see it. And you'll see here, this is where the pattern, when I cut it out, comes in handy. Because you can see, and it doesn't have to be exact. Like, this is your mug, do with it what you like, how you want. But you can see I use the inside of the pattern to help place where the fabric goes, where the different pieces go. And that was an honest mistake there, but I thought it worked really well. Now, I'm not really liking the way that's laying there. So I think my fabric was a little wrinkled when I went to do it, but I've decided it's not on there correct. It needs to lay the other direction. You see how I flipped it over? Now those corners are meeting up better. But again, don't forget, you're overlapping. There, I almost made a huge mistake. I just pressed that, and it's got heat and bond on the back to my ironing surface. So now I've gone and got a part. You can use parchment paper, or you can use the back of your heat and bond fabric that you pulled off, and you just lay it underneath there. Make sure you're using the slick side. Now I've ironed the pieces to the top, and it pulled right off that paper easily. All right, here are my last 3 hearts. Oh, let me say one more thing. While you're doing this, you might as well do 2 sets of everything, because you're going to have a set for the other side of the table runner. You know, each end of the table runner you want to design. So go ahead and do, so instead of cutting 3 hearts here, you want to cut 6. The mugs, you want to cut 2. All the pieces to the mugs, you want to cut 2. Alrighty, so here I'm just cutting out my hearts, and these hearts again are going to be coming out of the mug, and you'll see that here in just a minute. Now the fun thing about sewing is that you can change your mind and do something different. Like, you don't have to do what the pattern says. Now there's some things you have to do to get it to fit right, if you're making, a garment or something. But for the most part, when you're just being creative and making things for your house or decor, you can just have some fun, be creative with it. So here I'm laying out these hearts above my mug. And you can do this however you want. But I decided I didn't really like them because they're kind of pale. They kind of just blend in. So I then decided I was going to take red fabric. Here you see that left over from where I cut my mug out. It has heat and bond on the back. And I'm cutting the hearts out just about 1/4 inch larger than the first hearts I cut out. So it's just going to give it enough so it pops on the back of it. It puts a little barrier between the striped fabric and the off-white print I had there, or white print that I had. All right, so here I've laid them out. Now this is going to look backwards to you. When you see the finished product, the handle is going to be on the other side. It's all going to be flipped over. So right now this looks backwards, and I haven't figured out how to. I know what I need to do, but I'm not ready to take that chance yet when recording. Anyway, so now I'm just measuring to make sure it's pretty even, centered in the middle of my, on each side of my table runner. And again, I'm attaching these to the ends of each end of the table runner. And then I want to measure up from the bottom also, so I know how far up to measure the one on the other end. That's what I do here. And I believe it's about 3 inches up. Again, you do how you want, what you like. And then you can't see this. I think I left it in the video. You'll need to take this to your ironing board, or I would suggest doing it at your ironing surface. I had to slip a wool mat underneath mine, or you could pin it lightly till you got it to your ironing board, because you don't want those pieces moving around. But iron it really well according to the manufacturer's directions for the heat and bond. There's my wool mat. Love that thing. And again, I'm trying to show you what I did. And then I'm flipping it over to the other side, and I'm going to do the other coffee mug here. Again, about 3 inches from the bottom, and then measuring on both sides. So you can kind of get an idea, moving it over. And, with sewing, when you make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes. So don't be afraid to make a mistake. And here goes my hearts, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm bringing my other end up so I can look at it, so they can both be the same. And I use the stripes to help me place my hearts the same as my first set I laid down were. So I was like, oh, this heart, the point is on this stripe, and this heart, the point is on that stripe, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now I'm measuring the distance. That's like 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches. I'm moving it where the stripe is. So, and again, if you don't want them to be the same, they don't have to be the same. Appliqué is one thing I learned to do. I think if it wasn't in high school, it was sometime shortly after that. And I've just always enjoyed doing it. It doesn't have to be hard. And now I've just skipped over, and I'm starting to stitch my hearts down. And I apologize. I don't know why. The camera must be focused in on something else besides where the needle is. But I thought I'd set this up somewhere good. But I promise to get better as we go along. But I'm doing about there's a little red line on my presser foot, and I'm using that. It's about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Not from the red edge on the hearts, but from the white edge. And this takes time. Remember, every time you get to a curve, you want to slow down and you want to make sure your needle's down when you turn your fabric just a little bit so you can stay the same distance away from the edge all the way around. And again, on my hearts and most of the coffee mug, I use that stitch that goes forward, backward, or goes forward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, forward, backward, forward, backward. Let's see, is that right? Anyway, it's like a elastic stitch or something. And then on the top of the coffee mug, around the rim of the coffee mug, I did a satin stitch or a zigzag stitch. And you'll see that here in a minute. I did my 3 hearts at the top, then I did my heart in the coffee mug. Then I went and did the inside of the coffee mug, and then the outside rim, and then the whole coffee mug itself as far as stitching goes. And this video is a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I also want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, because I know when you're learning something, it's you want to be sure. So here's my zigzag stitch. So you can see it stands out a little bit more. I put it at the stitch length at 0.8 and the stitch width at 4. And then I went back to using that other stitch all the way around. I thought this was really cute. I think I'm going to do a smaller version on some towels. And there's the finished product. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel so you'll know when more tutorials are up. Thank you.